Hello guys, welcome to another video on my channel. Today we are going to be reacting to language review Dutch. So it's a little review about the Dutch language, and I'm actually Dutch myself, so I was kind of interested in the video. Let's see if it is at least a bit accurate. Don't forget to drop a like, maybe subscribe, and let's get into it.
Eeuw dreries en welkom op mijn kanaal. Mijn naam is
Hello.
Talbeminar en ik kom uit Amerika. Vandaag gaan we over het Nederlands praten, otherwise formerly known as Belgian, Windmillenese, Tall People Canal Language, Drunk English, or Femboy German. This is the
Femboy
13th
German?
episode of Language
What?
Review, a series where I go through the languages of the world and review them, sort of like a film critic or a video game reviewer, but for languages, specifically from the perspective of a language learner. I'll discuss who speaks them, their grammar, their difficulty, and
NPCs.
tons of other stuff before finally giving them an official Language Simp certified rating on the Simp scale. If you enjoy this video, let me know which language you would like me to review next in the comments,
German is
and without
crazy.
further ado, Hatsikide Yalla. Dutch? I love the Netherlands. They have walkable cities with no cars, so many windmills, and bicycles everywhere. Shut up, you're American. Be patriotic. We have walkable cities, clean energy, and bike lanes right here. Okay, you're right, but the Netherlands is gonna be underwater soon, so I don't see why we'd waste our time talking about it.
I don't know why, but every time I see some video talking about the Netherlands, they always say that the Netherlands is going to be underwater. I don't know what they have been smoking, but the Netherlands have the best water control in the entire world, so we're not going to sink like Atlantis.
But I guess I have no choice. Dutch is mainly spoken by about 17 million NPCs in a tiny country that people for some reason are dying to move to, known as Holland or the Netherlands. Same thing. The names
Holland
are 100% interchangeable. Don't look it up. Don't believe them when they correct.
Holland is a combination of two provinces. It's not a country. It's the Netherlands. Thank you.
You, just call it Holland, or better yet, just call it Amsterdam. They'll love you for that. And yes, this country is rapidly sinking into the Atlantic Ocean like the Titanic, and a third of the country is already below sea level, so if you want to go, go soon. I predict they've got like 2 weeks left above water. There they have tulips, canals, extremely questionable traditions, and great coffee, all in one tiny European utopia. And if you're lucky, maybe you'll run into the great Wouter Kortevener on the street, and he'll shock you with some flawless Gujarati. But Dutch isn't only spoken in Amsterdam. You see, back in the day when the Dutch were comfortably above sea level, they went out on boats and brutally colonized many different parts of the world, while also generously gifting their language to their victims. So in 2025, Dutch is spoken in the South American country of Suriname, which just feels wrong. When you're in these Mexican countries, you're supposed to speak Spanish. And there are also a bunch of Dutch islands in the Caribbean, which feels even wronger. When you think of the Netherlands, you don't think of tropical island vacations. You think of cold European winters, World War II, and Anne Frank, whose diary, originally written in Dutch.
Well, at least the cold European winters don't come anymore. It's just warm all year round. So that's a mistake.
Dutch really moves me. Next in Southeast Asia, Femboy German is spoken a teeny weeny bit in Indonesia, although these Chads mostly got rid of it. Indonesia actually banned Dutch in 1957, which is the most based thing I
actually didn't know this one. I didn't know they banned Dutch in Indonesia. That's crazy. Kinda makes sense though, but still.
Ever heard in my 26 years of life. You see, we here in America apologize for what happened to the Native Americans, but in the Netherlands, they kind of make fun of their colonization. If you mention the Netherlands online, you'll be...
That's not true. This is not true. This is fake. Fake news. The Netherlands actually paid like millions of euros to like some of the colonies they enslaved in the past, so they did make it right.
spammed with the word gekoloniseerd, which means colonized. Seriously,
I've seen
every
this.
article, post, and video online that even hints at the hypothetical existence of the Netherlands will be littered with gekoloniseerd comments.
Gekoloniseerd.
But thankfully it hasn't happened to me yet, and I hope it never does. And now the best for last. Dutch is, thank God, spoken by about 5.5 million NPCs in the good part of Belgium, known as Flanders, which is basically the entire top half of the country. There they have amazing food like this, which they literally call mouse shit. Their
Hagelslag.
chocolate is only slightly
Hagelslag.
worse than Mr. Beast's. They're decent at making American French fries, and unlike the other major European powers, Belgium didn't colonize anyone. So in total, there are about 30 million. Wait a second. What? They were literally the worst? So in total, there are about
Damn.
30 million Dutchophones in the world, which means learning Femboy German will unlock you practically zero DLC. But before I continue, I have a
DLC?
very special announcement for those of you who want to learn
What does he mean with
languages and become
DLC?
a polyglot. For a limited time only, you can now get a discount on my comprehensive
course he's
language
trying to sell
learning
his
ebook
book.
guide, the Hyper Polyglot Handbook. Just go to languagesimp.com and use code DUTCH at checkout to get $5 off. Are you tired of being a monolingual
I
soy
may be
boy
taking
beta?
this
Do you want to
too
become a hyper
seriously.
polyglot giga chad? If so, you need to read the Hyper Polyglot Handbook. This comprehensive ebook will teach you exactly how I learn a language from start to finish in the most fun, effective, yet realistic way imaginable. Learning lingos is simple and fun, and if you feel lost or want a new perspective, this book is perfect for you. Go to languagesimp.com and use code DUTCH at checkout for $5 off. That's languagesimp.com, or click the link in the description and use code DUTCH for $5 off the Hyper Polyglot Handbook, a Giga Chad's guide to language learning today. Now it's time to talk about the dialects of the Dutch language. There are hundreds of them, so I'll only give a broad overview. There's Dutch Dutch, spoken in the Netherlands, and then there's Flemish Dutch, spoken in Flanders, Belgium. Dutch Dutch is kinda meh, and it sounds really harsh, like a toad choking on a herring. Dutch people don't really care too much about their language, so they often disregard grammar rules. The youth doesn't even want to speak it, and it has a ton of international loan words and influence. While Flemish Dutch is awesome and it
Quick note, it isn't actually that bad. People make it worse than that it actually is.
sounds very soft and melodic, like a beautiful singing bird. And Flemings are proud of their language, so they follow the rules and they allow in less international influence, except from French, because as hard as they've tried, Flanders still is not independent from the Belgian baguette people. One day
I do agree with this. Flemish Dutch does actually sound a lot better if you like listen to it. But yeah, the baguette people still no. Just no.
Flanders, America stands with you. Then if we zoom in, we'll see smaller dialect groups forming that sort of bleed over the border. And some are just completely different languages, which are sadly dying. Because the Netherlands is so colonial that they couldn't resist the urge to colonize even themselves. So these minority languages have historically been suppressed.
When did we
There's
colonize
Limburgish,
ourselves?
which basically has tones like Wu Chinese, and Low Saxon is rough and tough and much more similar to Low German. Then Frisian is the closest living language to Old American. Those are all definitely not Dutch. But you know what is Dutch?
They are.
The Hollandic dialect found in North and South Holland, which includes Amsterdam. This dialect is what dominates the media and is the basis for the standard language in the Netherlands, and it's the one that learners most often study, but you shouldn't. Hollandic is what you're thinking of when you wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat because you remembered that Dutch exists. Then there's Zeelandic,
Damn.
which sort of sounds nasally. It's slower than most varieties of the language, and it reminds me of how people down in Alabama speak. Next there's Street Dutch, which is spoken by the cool kids in the
Street
city, and it
Dutch,
incorporates
yeah.
some Moroccan Darija, Turkish, Berber,
This is true.
and a ton of American words. I love those four languages, so this is what I would learn. Then there's Brabantian, which is
Brabantian,
so
the
warm and
goat.
gorgeous. It's softer sounding, and it's the basis for standard Flemish spoken in Belgium. There's
Brabantian
also
is the
something called
best.
Tussentaal, which is the informal language full of slang that Belgians use to communicate with one another on a daily
Tussentaal.
basis. And this is what I recommend you learn if you're a Chad who wants to pull chicks. Then there's West Flemish, which is guttural and real thick. They conjugate yes and no for some reason, and they have the Arabic sound. And finally, East Flemish is similar to West, but a little more neutered. Oh, now please, for the love of God, get me out of Europe and take me to a better, safer continent. Down in the very secure country of South Africa, they speak a language I'm sure y'all have all heard of. Afrikaans. Every single scholar with a brain says that Afrikaans is a separate language from Dutch, but I'm not a scholar with a brain. I think they're too similar, and I believe that Afrikaans is a better, simpler, and more efficient dialect of Dutch. Or maybe Dutch is a dialect of Afrikaans. We'll go with that. And then finally, in the greatest American state, a dialect called Pennsylvania Dutch is spoken by about 300,000
Pennsylvania
NPCs,
Dutch is
but
not
this is
real
actually
Dutch.
a dialect of German. They just call it Dutch to troll monolingual betas. Also in Tariff Land, one of our presidents spoke Dutch. No, not her. God, she should have had it. No, I mean Martin van Buren, and Dutch was his native language. What a traitor. Now it's time to talk about the writing system. The Dutch language is written in an exact plagiarized copy of the American alphabet, which honestly offends me quite a bit. What are you doing? Just trying to make the C rise faster. They've got A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, I, J, Y, and Z. Wait a second, what was that one? Yeah, that one. Isn't that 2 letters? Canker. You can't smush them together and act like they're one. I hate this so much. Dutch people will swear that it's not a letter, but they sure act like it's one. It makes a specific sound as a unit, like A, and if they're at the start of a sentence, they'll capitalize both of them. So that reeks of a letter to me, but at least the lore behind why it exists is heartwarming. You see, one day, the I was biking along the canals in Amsterdam when he flipped his black gazelle Omafeets over a stroopwafel and fell right into J, who is also a man. They went to get some friet met mayo under a windmill, split the bill 50-50 Dutch style, fell in love, and sewed themselves together. Then they died. True story, I was the windmill. But apart from that monstrosity, the alphabet has some other quirks. For example, Holland copied a bit of Poland's homework as the J makes a Y sound like yeah, Polska górum. Then the V makes an F sound,
we didn't steal
and the
anything,
W makes a V sound just like they do in German. Plagiarism. And rather embarrassingly, makes a V sound just like they do in German.
Well, that's not quite the same. That's not V and F. It's a different sound. So I wouldn't say it's the same.
Plagiarism. And rather embarrassingly, the U makes the same difficult sound that the French have. But the R totally redeems the entire alphabet. It's supposed to be a little rolly like R, or guttural like R, but some Dutchies let freedom ring and pronounce it just like an American would. Raise those tariffs. It's interesting. You'll hear the American R a lot from young Dutch people who are slowly drifting away from their language in favor of American, which honestly is kind of tragic, but at the same time,
fuck yeah, America.
However, the most baffling letter I may...
The people that use the R, like in English, are the posh people, the fancy people. They use it like R. The rest just says R. So, just for the record.
Have ever seen in any language in the Milky Way galaxy is the Dutch G. Is it a G?
Oh God.
Is it a J? No, it's a H. It's an extremely harsh noise that reminds me of someone puking or a giant dying hippopotamus taking its last breath, and it genuinely hurts my throat. And I'm not the only person.
Honestly, if it hurts to pronounce the ch, then you're doing it wrong. Then you try too much. It just rolls out of your throat. You don't need to force it. If you force it, it hurts. Don't force it. It's just it ain't that hard, bro.
To report discomfort or even pharyngitis after practicing it. I'm scared to ask this, but you know how American babies say goo goo gaga? Do Dutch babies say hoo hoo ha ha? Or are they too busy colonizing Indonesia to say anything?
Bro.
Thankfully, Belgians do not tend to make this harsh G sound. It's a lot closer to an H in their dialect, so I guess Belgian babies would be like Dutch also has some accent markers, but they're not really important. My favorite though is the diaresis that looks like two balls floating on top of a letter. Basically, you put the diarrhea there and it separates
Egoïsme.
the vowels into two syllables. Vowels are kinda jarring in Dutch. Like, just look at this goofy looking word with a ton of double vowels. When they're doubled, they make a long vowel sound, and it's actually satisfying to look at. But what isn't satisfying are the many diphthongies found in this language. If you're American or uneducated, what's the difference? A diphthong is basically when you make a vowel sound and midway through it you transition your gender and switch to another vowel sound, like in the word moist. Moist.
Moist.
There are a lot of these in Dutch, and there are even triphthongs, but most are unremarkable. However, this diphthong is 99% responsible for the stereotypical, iconic hargelbargel met ei, horken scheigel sound that the Dutch language has. It makes the oh sound, which I can kinda do, but I sound like I'm whining like a loser, and I think I make it too nasally. Oh, oh. But how does Dutch sound in general?
It is au. Au. Niet au. Au. It's au.
What's the vibe like, Mocker? Well, a lot of people online claim that it's one of the ugliest languages in the observable universe,
bro.
and
That's not
it'll
true.
put you in the hospital and require you to get multiple throat replacements, but it's not ugly.
That's just because you're doing it wrong. That's not because it actually hurts your throat. Damn. You're just doing it wrong.
It's goofy but melodic at the same time, and I enjoy listening to people speak it, especially this little guy. He's like the Naruto of the Netherlands. Also, Dutch music is surprisingly really fire. My favorite artist to listen to is Snolabolicus,
God.
who is basically the Tupac of the Netherlands. Then
He's
I
not.
also like the Europapa guy, who is basically just an Eminem tribute act. But unfortunately, mainstream Dutch culture is just a bunch of gabbers listening to boom 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 for 4 days straight without sleeping. But in stark contrast to everything we've witnessed thus far, Dutch vocab is extremely normal. Just kidding, it's like the most goofiest thing you'll ever see in your life. Many people online claim that Dutch is not a serious language, but I'd go further and argue that it's not
It
a
is.
real language.
It is a serious
Just
language,
look
come
at
on.
this tweet or excretion
Oh
or
God,
whatever you
not
call it
even.
these days. I don't even know what to say. The chest speaks for itself. I promise, this screenshot is real. And let's take a look at who wrote this tweet. Geert
Oh,
Wilders.
no.
At a certain point in history, Geert
Geert.
was expected to become Prime Minister of the Netherlands.
He
But
didn't
instead,
become
my
one.
dude Dick Schoof stepped up to the plate. What are these names? I think Geert
Stop.
and Dick should kiss. But I don't know how you do it, Dick. I personally would never want to be Prime Minister of the Netherlands, since the Dutch people once killed and ate their own Prime Minister back in the day. There are
I
so
didn't
many
even
other
know that.
examples of this language trolling Americans, like Die Man is Dude, or my personal favorite,
Mijn vader is dokter.
oh, I guess they're
Huh?
allowed to plagiarize our language since New York
Wait. Roll that back. Come on.
language trolling Americans, like Die Man is Dude, or my personal favorite,
Mijn vader is dokter.
oh, I guess they're allowed to plagiarize our language since New York
Oh,
originally
like that.
was Nel Amsterdam after all. The Dutchies love silly maxing. Want to know how to
Silly
say baseball
maxing.
in Dutch? I know you don't, but I'm gonna tell you, it's
Honkbal.
honkball. Who wants to play a
Honkbal.
game of honkball? Are any geese watching this video? Let's pick teams in the comments. Also, the word for dog breeder really grosses me out, like to the point where I won't even say it on camera, so just check the comments, I'm sure someone said it by now. Even trying to be polite in Dutch sounds goofy. To
Hondenfokker.
formally ask someone to do something, you say kunt u dat
No. Kunt u dat doen? It's easy. Really easy. Come on.
doing? However, just because things are silly doesn't mean that they're hard. Dutch is one of the easiest languages to learn on the planet. And if you start
Yes,
Dutch
it is.
today, you'll want to first learn a greeting. One of the most common ones is,
Kindercarnavals optochtvoorbereidingswerkzaamheden.
oh no, that's wrong. That is a real compound word, but I actually meant goedemorgen. Then how
Oh.
are you is ho gaat.
He is just doing it wrong. Come on. He's just doing it wrong. It ain't that hard, bro.
Dead. And if you speak German, boy will this be even easier for you. Almost 70% of femboy German words have a very similar equivalent in real German. And if you look at the same word in both languages, 11 times out of 10, the word is much easier in Dutch. And pure native Dutch words aren't complicated either. Dutch people love feet. Which is the native word for bicycle.
Feets.
If they could marry their feets, they would. Although one thing that is very confusing are these words, which you'll hear all the time. Nederland is the name of the country. Nederlands is the name of the language found in Nederland. Nederlandse is a woman from Nederland who probably speaks Nederlands. And Nederlander is a man from Nederland who probably speaks Nederlands and could perhaps be married to a Nederlandse or another Nederlander or multiple Nederlanders. Polygamy is illegal in the Netherlands, but I deadass think I found a loophole, so if you're interested, email me. It's on my channel somewhere, the email if you want to email me about
Hey,
polygamy.
yo.
Another interesting thing about Dutch is their very bizarre roster of curse words. You can call someone an acorn, akel, or an idiot, idiot, but those aren't too offensive. The real powerful swear words in Dutch are about diseases. Typhus
Yes,
is a
they
disease
are, they
that
are.
killed millions of people. No laughing matter, but the Dutch use it as a curse word, like in the phrase, krijg de tyfus. They use a lot of different
I don't
diseases for
understand
this
it, to
exact
be honest.
purpose, but if you want to be a wanker, you'll use the word canker. Canker means cancer.
Yeah, this happens a lot in the Netherlands. I don't do this, but I know a lot of people who do. Yeah, it's not great. It's not great at all, honestly.
And it's the most offensive word in the Dutch language. Now, don't be a twerp and go to Antwerp and start calling people cankers. That would be extremely rude. Instead, say kankerlier, which means cancer sufferer and is much more of a pointed insult. Don't get mad at me for
Just don't do it at all. Actually, just don't. Don't do it at all.
saying it. That's what they say. You act like I invented it. I didn't want to say it. I don't like it. I'm just an educator. But Dutch grammar isn't too offensive. It's literally just German grammar minus all the overcomplicated hocus pocus dog water. According to Dutch people, there are only two genders, and they're not what you think they are. They're neuter and man-woman. Yes, Dutch progressivism is not only found in coffee shops. So masculine and feminine nouns both take the definite article, de, while neuter nouns like book, work, and girl take the neuter article het. And I'm so happy to report that the Dutch language does not have a cringe and unnecessary case system like German. Wow, that must be nice. So the pronouns are pretty easy. There's ich, which mogs the heck out of the German ich. Then there's Julie, which is literally just a girl's name. And I love the reflexive pronouns. Myself is mezelf, yourself is jezelf, and you plural self is juliezelf. Men, don't forget to check juliezelf for canker. Wait, don't do it now. Wait till after the video. And
Bro,
verbs in
what the
Windmillanese
fuck?
aren't too bad either. There are a decent amount of conjugations, but none of them really stick out to me as anything crazy. There are two major types of verbs, beta soy boy kissless weak verbs and Chad alpha male stud strong verbs. My favorite soy boy verb is wachelen, which means to waddle. When we conjugate wachelen in the present
Wachelen.
tense, we've only got these three forms. That's pretty easy. For weak verbs, the stem does not change in the past tense. And for strong verbs, it does change. In the present tense, you'd say ick stink, but the past tense would be ick stonk. Wow, so hard. There are other types of verbs, but one thing is common among all of them. They're just not that hard. This is an easy language. The only thing that
It
can be
is.
a little
I've
hard
been
are the
telling you.
separable verbs.
It
Like
is
if you
a
wanna
ni-
say,
it
I
is
am
an easy
not
language,
touching the
man.
raccoon, you'd say ik rock die wasbar niet aan, even though the infinitive of the verb is aanraken, one word. But please don't act like that.
Yeah, those words aren't really hard. That's because other languages use that too. So I think he was going to say that right now, but still.
It's hard. We have that in American. I pick the raccoon shit up, I put it down. It's common sense. They also have irregulars, but like which language doesn't have irregulars? Is there even one? And don't say Esperanto. Please don't say Esperanto. I'll delete my channel. The most common is sein, meaning to be. And as you can see, it doesn't really make any sense, like ben, bent, is, and sein itself. But the past tense is dope because it's basically just was, which
Yes. It changes a lot. The present and past tense in Dutch is like A lot of times when it's a strong verb, it changes, like, a lot.
Seems familiar. Oh yeah, and the language is technically subject, verb, object, so a lot of the time you have to put the verb at the end of the sentence like German, but that genuinely takes like 5 business days to figure out max. So in general, Dutch grammar has its quirks, but it's nothing to get verked up about. Now it's time to talk about shock factor. How will native Dutch speakers react to you speaking their language as a foreigner? Well, if you walk up
Pretty
to a Dutch
normally, I
person
guess.
in the Netherlands, first of all, you're going to get absolutely heitmogged. Even though their country is low,
Bro,
these people are
Just
very
like just like I do. I height mock everyone. I'm like tall, handsome, just like LeBron, actually. So I height mock everyone, literally everyone.
high. But yeah, if you somehow manage to get eye level with them and you speak Dutch to a Dutch person, they're going to immediately switch to American and embarrass you. It will feel like you're about to make the easiest open layup of your life, but LeBron James, or let's call him
Look, that's me,
Leon
that's me.
Brown Janssen, comes out of nowhere and blocks your shot back into your face at the last second. Dutchies will not, under any circumstances, speak Dutch with you. They speak American better than Americans, either with a terrible accent or with one that is indistinguishable from that of a native. There's
I catch myself doing this a lot actually. When talking to English people, I usually just switch to English even when they are trying to talk Dutch to me. It even happens that I sometimes speak English to Dutch people. It's crazy.
no in between. In fact, I've met Dutch people who speak American better than they speak their own lingo. It feels like Dutch people aren't really proud of their language like a lot of other people groups, and a good number of them just prefer American. Belgians, however,
I
will
actually
sue your
do.
ass if you don't speak Dutch. They're hardcore since they were linguistically oppressed, and they still have to tolerate the French language.
I actually speak more English than I do Dutch sometimes, but I'm not that good at it yet, so I'm still struggling sometimes when speaking English, but I use it more than my native language actually.
Today. Maybe they'd enjoy it if you spoke Dutch in Suriname, but let's be honest, if you're going to South America, you're going to Venezuela, not Suriname. And keep in mind that learning Dutch to a good level just isn't as impressive as learning a lot of other languages to a good level. It's an easy language. What did you expect? You will never
Just
be
like I
able
said,
to
it's
shell
easy.
shock a Dutch person, and you will never make them backflip with excitement.
We're
This is
never really
the worst
shocked.
language for shock factor in the universe. There's so much more I could say about this language, but frankly, I don't want to talk about it anymore, so it's time I give Dutch an official Language Simp
Oh,
certified
he's giving us a
on
rating.
the Simp scale. On a scale of dog
Come on,
water to
Giga Chat,
Giga
Giga
Chat, I
Chat, come
place
on.
Dutch solidly in. Don't forget to use code Dutch at checkout to get $5 off the Hyper Polyglot Handbook link in description. The beta tier. The Dutch
Beta? Come on, bro. Dutch is so underrated. Come on. It should at least be at mid. Come on. But it's at least it's not dog water. So it's something at least. Come on.
language just honestly isn't that exciting to me. Learning it unlocks barely any DLC, and it kind of feels like it's dying even in the country where it comes from. The Netherlands
It's
is
not
either going
dying.
to be
Not
completely
dying at all. Come
underwater
on.
like Atlantis in 3 weeks, or it's going to be an Americaphone country. And German is right there next door just begging to be learned. Plus, learning German won't physically injure you, but if you learn Dutch, you'll need throat replacements and probably therapy. As a Native American speaker, it's a little hard to take serious sometimes, but I guess someone from China who doesn't speak English wouldn't think this is funny, so I acknowledge that I'm biased. I will admit that Dutch sounds very cute and endearing, and most women in the universe think it's a sexy language.
Is that true? I wouldn't know.
But it's also one of the easiest in the galaxy for Native Americans, so I guess if you want to dabble, I'm not gonna judge you. But with all that being said, I will learn Dutch one day.
Yeah,
Just
go
kidding, I
boy.
would rather someone give me a Dutch oven. If you know what that is, you might have laughed. If you don't, look up Dutch oven slang. And that's the video. Don't forget to go to languagesimp.com and enter code Dutch at checkout to get
Alright, he's trying to sell his book again. Hello guys, I want to thank you all for watching my video. I also stream live on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. We play games like Valorant and horror games. So I hope to see you all there at some point. I wish you all an amazing day, and don't forget to hold your loved ones. Have an amazing day. Bye bye.